Hi, welcome to Monterey's Cooking. I'm John Pisto. I'm with John McCormack and Kent Torrey. Gentlemen, thank you again for letting us be here. We're still working on cheese. Folks, there's so much to learn about cheeses, and you know, I really want people to understand there's more to cheese than just the stuff you see in the supermarkets. These are very, very unusual cheeses. We're moving on now to another category of the real dessert cheese, okay? Now, Kent, tell us about these. This is a classic. We're talking about an English-style cheese. The classic cheese that goes with port that everyone's heard about. If you ever hear it, Stilton and port. Okay, what are we talking about?
Well, what we've got here are cow's milk blue cheeses. Now, the blue that's inside here is a natural penicillium-style blue mold. It is an edible mold. It's actually beneficial, we say. We have two types of Stiltons here for you today, John. We've got a classic English farm-made Stilton. This is not the stuff that's shipped around the world and processed. This is something that's made on a farm. You have a nice, more old-style, funky rind on the outside. This is a classic blue cheese. Then we have one that's a smaller version called Shropshire Blue. Now, we nicknamed this the Red Stilton because it's naturally colored with either annatto or carotene, but it's basically a cow's milk blue cheese with a similar penicillium blue mold. It's been farm-made. It has a harder, crustier rind on the outside, something that you won't eat, but then you go ahead and eat the inside, and it has been colored. And these are both beautiful. Let me go ahead and get some taste here. And actually, we can have John mention the fact that these would be great with the ports, and we have a couple of suggestions there.
This is the classic port and walnuts and celery. I think this is I've had that many times with some friends that really appreciate this. I tell you, you want something real different.
And the
this
Shropshire
is just incredible.
A little creamier than the Stilton that we have, but that's a gorgeous cheese and very rare. In fact, the English that come to visit here, first of all, are very impressed that we have real cheeses, things that they see a lot, and they're actually quite astonished that we even have Shropshire Blue because that's so hard to get even in England.
That's a little more cheddary tasting.
I tell you, folks, cheeses are like wines, like cigars, like all these there's so many levels to learn about. Just real education.
This is real Stilton. This is the classic.
I love it.
One of the great cheeses from England.
Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to show you how this is done, okay, properly. Okay, let's go on to another one now.
Okay.
We have another classic. I know a lot of people don't know about this. And we're talking about the Roquefort, right? Roquefort teamed up with the sweet wine, a Sauterne, or other late harvest wines.
Okay, now what's the difference between Roquefort and Stilton's is, in fact, simply it's a sheep's milk blue cheese. Sheep's milk is a little bit higher in mineral content, so it'll seem a little bit saltier. We have two from France, and we actually have one from Spain. What we have here is Society B, which is probably the most well-known Roquefort in France. Back in the during the war, at the end of the war, the French were giving the American GIs this cheese to take home with them, and so it started a love affair with the Americans with Roquefort. Very popular. This has a nice tangy blue in the middle. It is again a penicillium blue mold, which is edible and very nice. This is Society B. Then within France, there are the legal producers, and there's a little society, kind of like the Knights of the Cheese Table, for lack of another word, or another name. This is a Papillon Roquefort, and this is their favorite Roquefort. This is creamier in texture with a stronger penicillium blue mold. In fact, a very dear friend of ours, Mark Jensen, the cellar master up at the Highlands Inn, absolutely loves Papillon. And he likes to have this with Burgundy.
A little fuller flavor to that one.
Creamy.
Creamier,
much creamier.
It's ripened more, so you get more of that creamy texture.
Oh, my God.
And then
of course, those are aged in the Roquefort caves. That's part of the criteria of being a real Roquefort, is that it's sheep's milk and aged in those caves.
Wow.
I have France.
Some fond memories of having Roquefort in the morning with some barbecued sardines and some muscadet, some French bread about 7 o'clock in the morning in Saint-Tropez on the beach.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you feel good after eating that.
Then this last one here, not to be outdone, the Spanish actually have, and this is made in a small town in Spain called Cabrales. This is their version of a Roquefort. It's a sheep's milk blue cheese that's then been wrapped in chestnut leaves, that you can see wrapped around here. And again, this
No,
is
not bad.
very creamy.
It's in there.
Again, it has a little bit more of a salty taste in comparison to a cow's milk blue cheese. That's because this is sheep's milk.
You can pick this out as a Roquefort.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would identify it as a Roquefort.
Oh,
That's
very good.
Cabrales from Spain.
It's got a nice age on it too.
And those would be great with, of course, the Sauternes sweet style wines.
Now this is one of those sweet and tangy. I mean, this cheese is really assertive, and we're going to taste it with some real sweet wines. Okay, then we've been to England, we've been to France. Now we're going to go to Italy. Now, to me, the classic dessert in Italy is tiramisu. Now, the cheese that's used for tiramisu is called
Mascarpone.
mascarpone. Now, they just started making it in the United States fairly recently, I believe. I know we have some local stuff now.
Yes.
And
Recontinued by the Italian.
the Italian seems to be better. It holds up better. You can cook better with it. I know that's what I've noticed. What is mascarpone? Let's take the mystery out of mascarpone.
Well, it is a sweeter style heavy creme cheese. One of the dishes, of course, that we already talked about. You can use it for pasta, but tiramisu. It's has almost a really nice rich vanilla taste to it naturally, and so it's just a heavier clotted cream.
Oh my gosh.
This is great in tiramisu, but you can also just take fresh fruit and dip the fresh fruit into this and eat the fresh fruit with the cream, and it's a beautiful way of having it.
Or you could use that fresh like that in a pasta sauce by just mixing that right like that in with a warm cooked pasta, and you have a wonderful light delicate sauce without having to be very complicated with sauce making.
We're making that, I'll guarantee you. That sounds, this flavor is incredible.
Yes.
You can find this all over. It's pretty available now.
Yes, yes.
That's a nice one too. I know this one. I've never tasted this brand before. But we're gonna make tiramisu, with the lady fingers and the cheese. It's very, it's
Coffee.
extremely espresso. It's very popular. It's served all over the United States now. So boys, I want you to come with me, be my guest. We're gonna do all this at the house and enjoy ourselves. Okay? When we come right back. Well, John, that was, another great trip down to the tea shop.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna do now this is the most asked about recipe for cheese that I know of, maybe next to a grilled cheese. And that's, this dessert came into being, I think, I don't know, maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago. It hit the United States by way of Italy, I think by way of northern Italy, if I'm not mistaken. And it's called tiramisu. Now, tiramisu, from what I understand, means to lift me up. And this was supposed to be an energizer. And I think, with the combination of cheese, and I'm going to have John explain the cheese to you so you get it right from an expert.
But the pick-me-up is coming out of that coffee.
The pick-me-up is coffee that is espresso, double strength, okay? Now, this is a pick-me-up. This is the pick-me-up part, but then you add grappa to it. And I think that's to knock it down. So it should be, maybe it's a misname. But then you add a good shot of grappa to it. So, but let's get back to the mascarpone. Mascarpone or mascarpone?
Mascarpone.
Mascarpone, okay. This is it's described as a cream cheese. It's an Italian cream cheese. But what really is mascarpone?
Well, if we have a spectrum of flavors, we would start from milk and then go to our American cream, which is still in liquid form. And we used creme fraiche, which is the French version. That's a little more cultured. And then we get to the mascarpone. The creme fraiche, the mascarpone, and French cream are all cream, but you are using a bacteria to set them up and culture them so they're thicker. Mascarpone, of all of them, is the sweetest and seemingly the richest. They're all very high in butterfat content, so they're real sweet. They're used for cooking, certainly for tiramisu, but the Italians use it for a lot of different other desserts with fruit, and certainly with cooking with sauces.
Pasta with some hazelnuts.
There you go, starting again.
I mean, we're talking out of this world. I mean, folks, do yourself a flavor.
It is a flavor.
And I tell you, it's more delicate than butter, and more.
Well, it's sweeter, and it's got more of that cream content flavor rather than the butter, which goes beyond this in terms of having the toasty flavor.
I tell you, that's just incredible.
You get that little tang in the aftertaste.
It's just delicious. I mean, it's just incredible. Now, this is being made domestically now, also, from what I understand, correct?
Yes, it is made in the United States as well. This is Italian.
This is an Italian.
And we continue to sell Italian. It's the heritage there.
Exactly.
It's a product that is made in much larger quantity and made, I believe, to a higher standard because it is such an important cultural item.
Okay, you know, so the taste of this is just, isn't that delicious, John?
I love using mascarpone.
Folks, do yourselves a favor and buy some of this and try it. I mean, even if you put a piece on an apple, you ever do that?
Oh, certainly. And the berries right now this time of year are just wonderful with this. And certainly the cooking also with this. If you just boil up fresh pasta and throw it back in the warm pot and just throw this mascarpone on top of it. You could have sauteed some vegetables, greens of any sort, and just mix it up together and serve it. Don't cook the mascarpone, and it retains that sweetness.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we have time, we're going to do that. Only because it sounds good. But right now, we're going to make a tiramisu. So tiramisu, we start with very, very strong espresso coffee, okay? Double strength. And what I did was made it in a coffee machine so as not to do one shot at a time, you know. And then you're supposed to add, this is really what picks you up, folks. It's not the coffee, it's the booze. Now, you don't be stingy. The more you put in, the better it is.
That's Italian grappa.
Wow. Oh, that's good. Now that'll pick you up and lay you down. Okay, now we gotta make the sauce or the cheese combination. Screws of meat. Now what we're gonna do is, you know, there's several ways of making this, John. I don't know how you guys make it, but there's several ways of doing it. This is the one I was taught, was with the cheese, and I'm going to add a few egg yolks to it, and then cut it down with, I think the biggest fault people make when they make this is they put too much whipped cream in, and it kills the mascarpone flavor, because you know how there's certain things in this world that have that incredible flavor that goes so, you know, I mean, peanut butter and jam, or what is it?
Garlic and anything?
Garlic and anything. But how certain combinations really work. And with this, what really works is the espresso and the mascarpone and the lady fingers. Now I'm just going to put some egg yolk in there. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to thin it down a little bit. And this is going to have to sit in the refrigerator, and it'll set up. So this is really like a kind of a mousse.
So you're thickening it up that way?
This will thicken up once it sets up. So we'll just throw a few in there. And if you get a little egg white in there, it's no big deal. We'll mix it up pretty good. Now this is a very scientific way of doing egg yolks.
It's a full family recipe.
It's a whole family recipe. But you know what? It works. It's fast.
Eggshells okay?
Eggshell's okay. Little eggshell's all right. Once you get about 25 years experience, you don't get many eggshells. Okay, yeah, let me rinse my hands. Thank you. Okay, so now all we're gonna do is we're gonna whip this up. I'm gonna use this guy over here. John, if you can start that for me, just kind of get it together.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll start this other one, which is whipped cream, and we're just going to add a little bit to that. We're not going to put a lot. Okay, and we're going to want to whip that up. See, by itself, it's pretty stiff. So let's put that much. And we're going to put a little bit of vanilla. And I don't want to do anything to that mascarpone except add a little sugar. Then we're gonna add a little sugar to here. Now you gotta measure this real carefully. Well, I don't measure very much anymore because so many years of doing this now, you know, it's like you. I mean, I bet you know how to cut 1 pound of cheese right to the ounce probably, huh?
But most of the time, it really doesn't matter that much if it's to the ounce or to the
Right on.
pint or whatever, because cooking, you have certain favorite recipes, but you don't want to taste the same thing every single time.
That's right.
You want it to
Good, that's
act
great,
and taste differently.
Okay, so we're gonna whip this up nice. Now use heavy whipping cream. Nobody said this was low calorie, but it's worth it. Don't eat it every day, you'll be okay. You know, this is a special occasion, once a week. Fine.
When you're traveling in Italy, it's every afternoon.
Gee, but you know, John, you've been to France. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. In France, every meal is finished by cheese.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
that's so great. Okay, when we come back, we're gonna put this together and we'll show you what Tiramisu is all about. Okay, see how nice and stiff this is? Nice and stiff. Okay, vanilla and powdered sugar. Okay, John, put the mascarpone in. Okay. Now I say this, it's 40%, 60%. Okay, I got it. And you guys sell this at the cheese shop?
Tiramisu?
Yeah.
No.
Be it natural.
Just the ingredients.
Be it natural. Thank you. Okay, now we fold this in. Again, the key flavors cannot be the whipped cream. It's got to be the mascarpone. Now, I took some of the whipped cream out in case we need some to add some later. Okay, see, the egg yolk, basically what we have right now is a mascarpone mousse. If I put these in glasses, you know, chill it, it should come out real stiff like a white chocolate mousse.
Little berries on the bottom.
Taste it, John. The mascarpone's still there. Okay, now we do. These are ladyfingers.
Ladyfingers.
You can buy these anywhere. And all you do is start layering. Now, the thing is, you don't want to put. If you put them in there too much, you know what happens? They dissolve, and you don't want them to dissolve. You want them to maintain a little of the crunch.
So essentially, you've just got the outside coated
Yeah, but-
and it's not soaky, soggy inside.
Yeah, because the crunch, that little crunch is going to taste very, very good. Okay, let's open. And this is a very forgiving dessert. If you break one of these, just keep on doing it. Now, the other thing you can use, and I've done both, has been sponge cake. And I think the original way is sponge cake.
This just is faster.
This is faster, and we made it. Homemade ones are very, very good too. Okay, so then you put a nice layer, and you go like this. Okay. See, in cooking, it helps if you ever laid bricks before. I mean, you gotta have
Craftsman.
Yeah. I mean, you know, got a little of that. Okay, easy, right? Am I in the way there? Okay, look, and then.
Two layers.
And then here we go again. Now the deeper the bowl, the more layers you're gonna get. And then when you cut down, now you could put fruit in here. Although the real mascarpone has no fruta, but I can see peaches with this would be just incredible. See, this combination of the mascarpone, the espresso with the grappa, and the nice flavor of the grated chocolate on top. Okay, there's another layer.
Nice job.
All right, cheese mixture. Now you can make these in glasses, you know, individual glasses. And that works real nice too. Thank you. Okay, we can maybe just make these for 2, huh? I could put another one on, but I think it'll. Whoa. Okay. Now, what I've been doing is chilling some chocolate down, because this is the other thing. This is what makes mascarpone, or tiramisu. You gotta put the chocolate. And make sure your chocolate gets nice and cold, because if you don't, when you put it in your hand, you know what's gonna happen?
It makes it easy to grate.
Yeah, oh yeah. Otherwise she melts like crazy. And the more you put on this, the better it is. Because the chocolate just works so well with the cheese, you know.
And the coffee too.
And the coffee's
really
a
magnifies the
natural.
coffee flavor.
Okay. Oh, what I'm using is a semi-sweet chocolate. In fact, the more bitter, the better. Even a bitter chocolate's very, very good. Don't use sweet chocolate.
Well,
though.
you have so much sweetness in there
Yeah,
already.
you don't
really need it.
Okay, now you put this in the refrigerator, you let it set up for 2 hours. You can make this the day before, it's still real, real good. And but it needs that time to set up, and then you can serve it after that. Well, folks, we want to thank John. John, thank you so much.
Pleasure again.
And, you know, folks, I really want you to try this. I also want you to try John's Cheese Shop, Carmel Cheese Shop in Carmel Plaza. The best in the United States, I'd say. I haven't seen one better.